Okay, so we have Jesse Desrosier here, who is fighting at 170 pounds at this upcoming Fusion Fight League event on December 13th. And he's fighting in bare-knuckle boxing. Those are some of my favorite fights to watch at Fusion. They are crazy. We've been, when we're commentating, we call it the splash zone, and we definitely been splashed many times. And let me tell you quickly about myself. So again, my name is Huzaif. I'm one of the commentators. I love this sport. I love mixed martial arts. I love bare knuckle boxing. I love combat sports. But one of the things that I love to know the most is about the fighters and the stories of the fighters and how you got into fighting. Okay, so let me start at the beginning. How did you get into combat sports?
Oh shoot. Well, I remember watching UFC one or like the early UFCs. I think it was the Ultimate Knockouts one when I first watched it. Me and my brother as kids, and
Okay.
then I always wanted to box, and I got into a smoker boxing when I was a sophomore high school and boxed a little bit through high school.
Uh-huh.
Wrestled my senior year, and I trained a bit in the Marines, judo, jiu-jitsu, and I started MMA when I come over to Missoula around 2014 or so, and 13, and then I fought until 2018. And after 2018, I had kids and stuff and slowed down, gave it up, retired until about May. BKFC called and asked if I wanted to jump in a bare knuckle fight. And originally, I just took it as a one off. I was like, yeah, I'm a lot older, knocking the cobwebs off. It's just one and done. But by the time fight week came around, I was like, man, this is me. I need to get back into this. So I took it full time again after my first fight with BKFC in June, and I've been training ever since.
So you mentioned the time in mixed martial arts, and the transition to bare knuckle is interesting because I've talked to Justin about this, who's my co-commentator. He's had so many fights. I think like 70 some MMA fights total, but he took a bare knuckle fight, and it was he the way he's explained it to me. I mean, it's crazy, and there's a high probability he broke his hand. He has a high probability
Yeah.
that you're going to break your hand. So I think a lot of people, a lot of fighters are hesitant to do it, but you seem to jump right in. So why what made you not be, I guess, not have the fear to risk it?
Well, it's definitely an older man's sport. Anybody just getting into MMA or fighting, I wouldn't suggest starting out with bare knuckle.
Yeah.
But growing up on a reservation in Browning, there's a lot of street fights growing up. And
Mm,
when I decided to come back to the sport, I've always predominantly been a striker, and I thought I don't want to mess around with any more wrestlers in my later life. I wanted at least one more fight, and I didn't want to have to do the whole jujitsu, wrestling, grappling. So it was an easy transition. Plus, bare knuckle pays a lot more.
I
So
see.
it's like if you're a prize fighter, I already busted my nose 4 times, knocked teeth out. I already went through all
Wow.
that. I'm not getting any younger, no prettier, no smarter. So for me, it was an easy decision, and the money was the calling.
Do you find that your hands, another thing that Justin has mentioned to me is some people just have those amazing genetics with their hands and their hands just never break. Do you find that your hands are just made of steel?
Well, I've had a few breaks in my hands. The last fight, I was fortunate enough nothing broke. So, I mean, time
Nice.
will tell. I got
Sure.
aches and pains like anybody else. I've had a
Sure.
boxing fracture when I was a kid. But other than that, my knock on wood, my hands are my money makers. So I want to keep them as good as I can.
Absolutely. You mentioned growing up, there was a lot of street fights. What was the nature of the street fights? Was it just people kind of bullying other people, or how did that? What was going on there?
So I was born and raised on the Blackfeet reservation in Browning, Montana, late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
A lot of alcoholism and things like that. But fighting for us was just something we grew up with. Every uncle, grandpa, dad, cousin, you'd fight your friends when you was bored. But I mean, it was just an environment where there was a lot of fist fighting. It was occasionally you could go to a gas station and see a fist fight. You could go to a rodeo and see a fist fight. And in
Wow.
today's era, there's a lot more um, drugs, unfortunately, so not as many fist fights. But that's how we all grew up. Was we all knew we had to defend ourselves at one point or another, and we were always ready.
Were you, before you began training and really getting serious, were you somebody that you felt like you were kind of a natural when it came to fighting, or is it more of an acquired skill?
I didn't play at all. I got an older brother who's been tough guy. Uh, so
Oh,
on my own, say that, you know, you go out.
oh, Jesse, I think I lost you a little bit. It got the signal got a little choppy.
Yeah, I
Oh,
see
there it
that.
goes. Now it's
But
coming back.
I never, I never considered myself a tough guy at all. My older brother was a tough guy, and you know, I've had to work for everything, but I've had a good career. I'm very fortunate.
Awesome. Okay, very cool. And what do you see for the future of your career beyond this fight? I don't want to make you look too far ahead. Obviously, I know you're focused on the Saturday, but just generally, what do you see for your career?
Well, I'd love to get back into BKFC. I'd love to take some more fights. You know, like I said, this is my life now. I just been training and getting ready for fights, and I'd like to continue on bare-knuckle as long as I can, as long as my nose is up and my fists are still golden. I'd like to keep fighting.
Heck yeah. What are some of your greatest passions outside of fighting?
Well, I'm a father. My kids, they keep me alive. I got 4 kids,
Oh wow.
and they're my heart and soul. I also do artwork on the side, you know. So I guess you could say an artwork is another passion. And language, the Blackfoot language, I've been fortunate to learn and be able to share that throughout my life. So those are 3 passions in my life.
Can you tell me more about the artwork? What type of artwork do you make?
So I do ledger art. It's Native American style artwork today. I'm using historic, like early 1900s, late 1800s paper with a little bit of tint, and then portraying stories, whether they're recreated or stories that are retold, you know.
Hmm.
But just artwork on ledger paper. Anyone interested could check out my socials for some of that.
Tell me. Let me look it up right now. I want to check it out.
They're on Instagram. I go by BikiniBoyMedia.
Hold on, let me do it right now here. I can even get it on this here. Wait, you said on Instagram. Give me 1 second. I'm
Sure.
loading it up. Okay, say it again. What is it?
Bikini, Pikuni,
UNI
boy,
boy.
and then underscore media.
Oh, I found it. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'm going to share the screen here. I want to see so everybody can check this out. I've never heard of ledger art, so I'm very curious. Okay, let's see. Where
It's a
can I
big, yeah. So like, there's a couple pieces. There's that middle one there with the dancer, the Indian
this one?
dancer.
Let me see.
Yeah. So that's on
Wow,
a
that's so cool. And yeah, go ahead, sorry.
that's on a historic music note, actually. You know, but I do artwork on music notes, on old ledger papers. You know, any kind of historical documents, maps, things like that. It's a big fad in the native art community right now. So.
So can you tell me more about this piece? Like, why did you choose this musical piece to have as the backdrop for this particular character? I mean, this particular like person.
Sure. So this person here is a relative of mine. His father was a great chicken dancer, and he's a really renowned chicken dancer, a young kid. And with the music note, I figure it brings more life into the music sheets, you know, and just the way he's dancing, the movement, the colors, it all exemplifies what Bikini is, what Blackfoot chicken dancing is, you know. And I wanted to just retell that story and highlight that.
Very cool. And what? One more question too. What do you use to make the drawings? Is it paint? Is it colored pencils or things like that? What do you use?
Sure, I use a mixed media. I use pen and ink a lot,
Okay.
but definitely some acrylic paints, along with color pencil. Just depends on the piece, how much time I want to spend on it. But most of the time, pen and ink and some acrylic paint.
All right, this is super super cool. Hopefully, we can show some of those clips as well on the Fusion socials. Do you draw any parallels between the process of creating your artwork and preparing for a fight?
Well, I mean, it all comes to my hands, right? My hands make the money. So
Right.
I'm a hustler for my kids. Whatever I can do to put some money in their bellies, you know, pay for rent and stuff like that. But I've done a couple pieces inspired by MMA, but most of the time my artwork is just getting out of my own mind,
For sure.
and both arts, whether it's bare knuckle MMA or artwork, it's a way for me to heal, I think, and kind of move on, focus. It's timeless. It gets rid of the past and the future, and it puts you in the moment, forces you to think in the moment, and that's why I really enjoy doing both artworks.
Sounds like you're talking the power of now, something that Eckhart Tolle, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, he has that book talking about getting in the zone and or doing things that just have you focus. Hey, I'm not thinking about the past, I'm not thinking about the future, just thinking about this current moment. So I'm totally into trying to get into flow state as well. As we wrap up, I got a couple of questions left. The first thing is, I know you mentioned your 4 kids are your heart and soul. Have you gotten them into training?
Yeah, I've taught them all how to throw a punch and a kick, and I don't want to push anything on them.
Yeah,
My girls now are preteens, 12 and 13, and if they wanted to really pursue it, I'd be there for them. My boys, like I said, I've put gloves on them all and showed them all how to throw punches. But if they chose something like that, I would definitely be there for them.
for
I
sure.
don't want to push anything on them. They're their own spirit, so I mean, I let them be.
That's right. That's right. And I'm such a big MMA fan. It sounds like you're a big combat sports fan, MMA fan, bare knuckle boxing fan. I'd love to know, do you have a favorite active UFC fighter that's currently on the roster that's doing great things, and why?
Yeah, well, Alex Pereira, I'd love to see him go to the heavyweight and take a third title. He's been one of my fan favorites to watch. Islam's dominant, but I always preferred strikers over grapplers just because of
Sure.
the excitement, but I do appreciate a good grappling match, and the display that Islam showed and Khamzat Chimaev, that was
Let's
just
go.
incredible. You
Yeah.
can't knock that, but like I said, Alex Pereira, he's probably one of my favorites in the game right now, and I'd love to see him get that heavyweight belt.
Yeah, you just basically named some all my favorite fighters. I went crazy when LX beat Magomed Ankalaev. I went
Oh yeah,
absolutely crazy. And then also, man, I'm such a fan of Islam, but Khamzat Chimaev is actually the one you mentioned. That's my favorite fighter of all
oh
time.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that guy is
He's a powerhouse. I mean, you can't touch him.
can't touch him. Absolutely incredible. Well, hey, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me and talk to me about your story and everything that makes you who you are. Like I said, that's one of my favorite parts about the fight game is learning about the fighters and learning about the mentality that it takes to get in there and compete at the highest level. So I really appreciate it. I look forward to meeting you in person in December, and best of luck in all your preparation. You have any final words before we close out?
Thank you. No, just salute to all the veterans out there, active or former military, as well as everybody on the reservation. I want to say Oki to everybody back home.
Awesome. All right, Jesse. Great chatting with you. And like I said, best of luck on December 13th.